Welcome back to Conversations with Counsellors, episode 4 with the one and only Yasmin Hajian. Yasmin, so great to have you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
We were communicating back and forth, and we finally picked the date that worked for everyone. And so excited to have you here. And I think with your background and everything you've done in the counseling space, just to kind of get a bit of wisdom on the ideas of counseling for you and what it's done, and how some of the ways it can support others. So
sounds great.
Awesome. So to start off with every conversation with counselors, we kind of want to get to know a bit of the personality of the counselors. So when people watch this and they feel intrigued, feeling that you may be a good fit, they can reach out, and they've already gotten a sense of who you are. But I did want to take a second and just share a little about the purpose of Conversations with Counselors. So Conversations with Counselors is really about breaking down the barriers around counseling and therapy, giving people an inside look at what it's like to go to a counselor, and really kind of taking away that first step for people, being like, oh, I could imagine myself there chatting with Yasmin. Like, I would just be where Ben is, and we'd be chatting. And so it's really trying to just kind of break down the stigma and just give people a glimpse into what it could be like. So that's the goal.
Sounds great.
And hopefully give a bit of valuable information for anyone who's watching.
Yeah.
So first, we're going to go on the personality questions. So the first question I have for you, Conversation with Counselors, question 1 is, what is a passion or thing that you like that most people don't know about you?
So most people who know me know that I really love to cut a rug, like really dance and just be free and dance freely and move around. But I feel like most people know that because I'm very extroverted and very much like an open book. So this is a tough one to answer. Maybe most people don't know that I also have a little bit of introvertedness. I don't know if that's a word, but I'm also a little bit of an introvert, but mostly an extrovert.
Personality question number 2. What is one thing or activity you wish you learned as a kid?
I wish I learned how to play the electric guitar. I mean, I love it. I also wish I learned how to play the bass. Not like that one, but the double bass. Which way do your hands go? This way with the
stand-up bass.
Yeah.
Not the cello. No, I guess maybe you could use it. Yeah.
You're kind of really getting into it because you really have to get into it.
Yeah.
And maybe I could be in Kamasi Washington's band one day or something in the back. Just
cool.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's
that's
pretty much, Yeah. Moving past the personality questions and getting a little bit more into some of your background and counseling in general. And you have a pretty large background in activism. And so just curious, what are some of the reoccurring mental health issues that you see within that community? Like, fighting that good fight and working in the realms that you do. What are some of the reoccurring mental health issues and struggles that you see?
Yeah. There's a range for sure. I think for people who are steeped in activism work, they have a complex relationship with it. Not all, but I think a lot, because it can bring up such a mix of things, ranging from, a lot of the time, outrage, anger, frustration, sadness, grief, pain, irritability, feeling on edge, feeling tense all the time, sometimes even disappointment, never confusion or surprise, but disappointment. But then sometimes there's also hope and feeling empowered and feeling inspired and motivated and energized and feeling strong, especially when we have solidarity in numbers and we start to see change happen. So that can be really energizing and nourishing and restoring.
Right.
So it's definitely a mix, I think.
Yeah.
And I think for people who, like for a lot of Black and Indigenous activists who have been doing this work for a long time, like them in particular, let's say, I think that it's so much more than just something that we believe is right, or for example, something that's trending now that will possibly fade out later. They'll continue the fight because their liberation is tied to it.
Yeah.
For them, it can be a matter of life and death or freedom from suffering. So it's a complex relationship, and it's difficult work for sure, very difficult work.
And that real activism, it can be a lonely journey too, and but it also can be a collective journey. It's a wide range, and so I'd love just to hear again how, even it being connected with the project Healing in Color and your work behind and motivation behind starting that and the importance of it.
Yeah, okay. Healing in Color. So I could talk about this for a long time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
How much time you got?
Yeah.
So Healing in Color, it started a couple years ago as this idea that actually my friend and project partner and co-founder Premila Mathen, shout out to Premila. I'm shouting out a lot of people. Anyway, so I love you. So she was doing this interview with like some news reporter. I can't remember if it was City TV or CBC or what it was. A couple years ago, I think, and they were talking about the importance of having counselors of color and how it was really, really difficult to find, especially in Vancouver. And so during this interview, I hope I'm getting the story right. During this interview, she was talking about how even for herself, like she's always on the lookout for a counselor of color and someone to talk to, especially with the social justice sort of framework to their work. And then she kind of had this moment where she realized, like, I'm kind of tired of hearing myself say it's so hard to find these people, and decided that she was going to do something about it. So essentially it's a directory.
Yeah.
It's a list of BIPOC counselors across Turtle Island, or so-called Canada in colonial terms, and who have an anti-oppression practice to their work. And we also have resources listed on there, and also allied professionals. So people like doulas, birth workers, meditation teachers, nutritionists, yoga teachers, sound healers, I don't know, basically just different kinds of healing, and other professionals listed on there as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. And so how, for someone who wants to, it's a resource and directory for anyone, like it's, so anyone who's watching this right now and feels, within Canada, they can go on and find a counselor that really possibly speaks to them.
Yeah,
and they really
yeah.
connect with.
There's a search bar, so you can filter, down to the city you're in, and try to narrow it down by location. It's just as simple as going on the website, looking at the directory, and connecting with somebody. So click their website information is on there under their picture and their name, so you can click on their website info and contact them directly.
Amazing. Yeah. Awesome. It kind of goes to the question I had at the end, but I'm going to bring it up, and I'm just curious to hear your thoughts on, like, what, in your opinion, makes a good or bad counselor?
Ooh.
It's a tough, yeah.
I don't know if I feel comfortable answering that.
That's fair.
Okay, let me think about this.
Or in your opinion, you can answer, if you were going to a counselor, what would be some of the things that you would look for in a counselor?
Well, yeah, so personally for me, it would be really important that they, like, their politics aligned with mine. Yeah. That we had shared values. That would be most important. But I think in a general sense, I think it would be really important that person wasn't using a cookie cutter kind of approach for all their clients, and that they were, they had this ability to kind of help someone learn to tailor what it is that they need to meet their needs best. Because, and I think most therapists do that. I think even ones who are highly specialized in one area, I think that they can adapt and incorporate different kinds of modalities and stuff to make it a good fit for that person and help that person. Yeah, that would be important, I think.
Right. Sorry for throwing that out there, but I think it is so, it's a fascinating thing of like, what are some of these things that, and I think you hit it on. It's, again, they're not fitting you into a box. It's not just, you're like the next person. No, you're a unique being that's had a lifetime or who knows how long of experience that's unique to you. Yeah. And I'm here. Yeah. So that was really great. Thank you for answering that. So next question, I'm curious, what is one thing people get confused or a misconception around counseling?
Okay, yeah. I think that people think it's a lot more formal of an interaction, and I know that this is why you're doing this, which is great. I love this because it's not. It really isn't that formal. It's a lot more. At least it should be, anyways. More comfortable and casual and informal of an interaction, and I guess I would add that. There's always this idea that therapists are going to fix your life, that they're going to fix your problems. And that's really not the case.
What?
And if a therapist says to you, I will solve all of your problems, that might be a bit of a red flag. Life is more complex than that. Things, we learn as we work through our issues, and sometimes some issues are not fixable in that. I just really hate that word. So sometimes it's a matter of learning to be with the problem in a different way, changing your relationship to the problem, because sometimes you can't change the problem. For example, if you get diagnosed with cancer, you can't change that. Right. The therapist is not going to fix that. So anyways, we can go on about that.
Okay, so we asked this question to every Conversations with Counselors episode that, for some people who are watching this, the reality is they may be struggling to even get out of bed. They, even facing the day is, seems like a massive hurdle. And I would just, love if you have any advice, thoughts to someone watching this who may be in that situation.
I think about this a lot, actually, because it's such a common experience, and it's I find anyways, it's a tough question to answer, because if we're talking about depression, it can look different for so many people, depending on severity or how much it's impairing them, how much it's getting in the way of their life. I think a lot of people compare themselves a lot as well, and they might look at someone and think, well, I think they said that they struggle with low mood, but why is it that they can do this and this and this every day and they seem to be fine and I can't? And why is it that I just can't, get it going or get out of bed and that kind of thing? So I would just really encourage you to try not to compare yourself to others and know that people are at different places, and you too will get to a different place with this, that it will change. And you're not going to be stuck in this forever. It's not forever. I'm kind of talking about things like impermanence and things like that, and just having some sense that it will be different for you as well. The way that you see it for other people, you'll get to that place as well. And it needs time and nurturing and care and compassion and certain things you can do to help kind of break through it. And hey, maybe you want to write a letter to depression, like a goodbye letter, and just be done with it. That's a thing we do in narrative therapy a lot, and I find that helps people quite a bit. So it's kind of like think of it as like you're breaking up with depression. You've decided you're done.
Yeah.
And you could write a goodbye letter to it, or maybe send it a text or whatever. You can ghost on it. I know a lot of kids these days do that. Ghost on depression, just like you do on your dates. No, all joking aside, you know what I mean? Like, just be done with it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not that easy, but
yeah. But I think too, within that, there's also breakups aren't that easy.
No.
And so it's like,
Absolutely.
It may take 2 letters, it may take 3 letters, it may take 4 letters, but also too, not being hard on yourself that it takes more letters. I think that's I wrote a letter. I'm supposed to be done with this. Yeah, I'm done with this. And it's like, no, guess what? Maybe it needs a second letter.
Yeah.
And go ahead and don't feel bad at all.
It's
Because
okay.
guess what? When have we, it can be rare that we just do once and it's.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I think having compassion for ourselves too through that.
Yeah,
process.
absolutely.
That's really cool. I really, really like that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. Ghost them all. Just ghost it.
Yeah.
So this is the last kind of question, and then just going to turn it over to you for any closing thoughts. But what is one question that you wish people ask more of themselves?
I wish people would ask themselves something like if you were to look at yourself in the bathroom mirror in the morning, you might ask yourself, how am I going to show up for myself today? Or how will I be in resistance to this thing? Like, how will I be in resistance to this pain today? Or how will I be in resistance to this anxiety or this depression? Or how will I summon joy today? Things like that. Just thinking about the little things you can do. There's always these small daily acts of resistance that we can do every day. I'm drawing on Alan Wade's work right now, who talks about that daily acts of resistance to abuse. But you can kind of adjust that to fit a lot of different scenarios.
Yeah.
So ask yourself, how are you going to show up for yourself today? How are you going to resist this thing or be in resistance to it?
Amazing. Yeah, that's so great. I really like that. Awesome. And so with that is the last question. And if you have any closing thoughts for episode 4.
I think I've done enough talking, honestly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're good?
I'm good. I'm good.
Just dance.
Just dance.
Just dance. Just dance. Awesome. Well, Yasmin, thanks so much for being a part of Conversations with Counselors.
Yeah.
And we're so thrilled to have you be a part of this. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you soon. And thank you all for watching episode 4, Conversations with Counselors. Yasmin.
Bye.
Bye.